This is Devin Mann from Man Versus. The following episode of Man Versus was recorded at All In Recording Studios. In order to win, you gotta be all in. You hear me? All In Recording Studios. Let's get it, baby. What's up, y'all? It's Devin again with Man's Versus here. I do have some very interesting guests, new guests actually, that I know pretty well. Introduce yourself. Jody, go first.
Yes, my name is Jason Summerville. I'm glad to be here.
All right, and I'm Jarvis Battle. Also glad to be here.
All right. So we have a very interesting topic today. In first season, I did talk about masculinity with another black man that was a good friend of mine who's also gay. His name is Sean, or he's bisexual. Sorry about that. His name is Sean. And this time I'm going to focus more on the LGBTQ side of it. And so I got two guests here that have different experiences with, their community, and we're going to get into it, get pretty deep, and talk about some myths, some facts, and, some things concerning the community. And yeah, let's get into it. So how you guys been?
I've been good.
Yeah.
I've been good.
Yeah, same. I've been pretty good.
You've been good? All right. Yeah. So I actually know them from my old college at Middle Georgia, and we actually met. And yeah, Jody was super flamboyant, and you knew when you met Jody, he was like, "Hey, y'all, how y'all doing?"
You knew what?
Stop it. I think you're nervous right now.
You think so?
You a little nervous?
No, I just feel like I'm most comfortable when I can be sidetracked. That's when my best thoughts flow.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So, I do want to start off with talking about when you guys first knew you were gay, and then like how did it happen, and like how did you come out and things like that. So, who wants to go first?
I think Jody wants to go first.
I think Jarvis is wrong. No, just kidding. Yeah, so I knew I was gay. I've always been gay. I always knew I was gay when I was like little growing up, but I definitely played it safe and, as you would say, like denied it, more so for other people, not really for myself. And so when I went to college at 18, I was like super excited to go to college. I was like, great, now I can just totally come out and be as queer or gay as I want to be, which is a totally different experience. But yeah, so I came out when I was 18. And that's when I publicly came out, but I knew I was gay back when I was, when you can first think of
like 6, 7, 8 years old. Yeah.
4 or 5.
4 or 5? I didn't know what I was when I was 4. When I was 4, I was thinking about like Captain Planet and like cartoons and stuff.
Yeah. I had a sister. And so I found myself enjoying things that I was not supposed to enjoy, so to speak, at like 4 or 5. So that's why I would say I knew I was.
Okay. So like you were just leaning towards that side, because I had an older brother, so like all we did was like play basketball all day. So like I didn't know what was like feminine or male or like whatever. Like I just did stuff. Like I went outside. Mom was like, play, come back like 2 hours, take a nap, eat some food, take a shower, things like that.
Right.
So Jarvis, what about you?
I would say probably about the same. I grew up and feminine things, girly things were, that was like a taboo for boys to do.
Yeah.
But I did find myself enjoying those things. Growing up with traditional families, religious families, I feel like it was, if you're gay, that's the worst thing. So it was always kind of like repressing that in my personal life and everything that I did. So trying just to avoid those things. When I got to college, it was still kind of like ingrained in me just to, I guess be normal, which was not gay. So I wasn't out in college either. It didn't really happen until after I graduated. It was when I decided to be myself.
So like in your case specifically, because Jody was a bit more open with his, were you trying to suppress it, or were you just trying to deny it, or like were you just not telling anybody?
I think I was trying to suppress it and deny it for a very long time. I think it was when I got to college was like I accepted it, but I still wasn't open with it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I know, when me and you were in college together, like you never said it.
Right.
But like,
right.
We would hang, like all of us, we would hang out like, almost daily.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, like he's definitely like,
yeah.
But like, it didn't really matter.
Something that I feel like everybody knew. And after a while in college, like I would say probably after spring break of like sophomore year is when I was like, okay.
Isn't that when we went to PCB?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because you was in the club, and then Jody was like, finally, oh my god.
Yeah. Sure did. Yeah.
That was a spring break trip.
That was when I was like, for me, it was like, okay, I don't really care what people think. I'm just gonna be myself. But I'm also still not gonna talk about it because that's my business.
Yeah, like I don't think anyone's like what anyone does in the bedroom is anyone's business, like straight, gay, lesbian, whatever. Because it's like you don't need to know who I'm doing stuff with. I mean, like if I'm in a relationship, you can assume, of course, that we doing stuff because like you date for 2-3 years. It's like okay, obviously they're probably doing stuff, but like I don't think that's anyone's really business. Like I never really try to question anybody on that stuff. Yeah, like straight, gay, or whatever. Because I'm like that's kind of weird. Like, do you really need to know if they doing stuff like that? Like Jody for shaking her head like, yes, you preach.
Sharing is caring.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just saying. But I do have to comment on something. So I will say when we were talking about like growing up as a kid and like doing feminine things, I think it's really important too to realize, or for me to realize when I was getting older, that just because you do certain flamboyant things doesn't necessarily classify as your sexuality. And I think that's something that's really common now where it's like, oh, you play with Barbie dolls, so you have to be gay. You can play with Barbie dolls because that's your interest and still be straight. Or I know for me, I didn't like doing the grass with my mom or my dad and stuff. I hated doing yard work. I always want to do like indoor, like let me do the dishes and dust. Which could be a sign of, maybe taking on more feminine traits. But I also think if a guy or a male is interested in dusting and doing more domestic things, I think sometimes society is quick to label them as gay when it could just be their interest. And that doesn't necessarily classify them as being a homosexual. So I think that's also something that comes to mind that I've kind of learned over the years of differentiating between what our behaviors are versus what sexuality actually is, our sexual preferences.
Yeah, I actually kind of agree with that because like I think every guy does something a little bit effeminate. Not everything, but like there's probably like 1 or 2 things that you do super effeminate that people may not see as like traditionally masculine. Like when I clean dishes, I'm OCD with cleaning dishes. Like I soak them, I scrub, and dudes probably be like, why is he going so hard on these dishes? Like what's happening right now? But then at the same time though, I like doing outside work or working on my car or, changing the tire, changing the oil. Whereas, maybe not every, but then there's probably gay dudes who do that like all the time.
Yeah. I feel like I'm very handy as a gay guy.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
Jarvis,
I mount my TVs. I do like all that stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know you was construction, man.
I can change the oil in the car. It doesn't like.
You be thirst trapping. You be like, yeah, I'm trying to.
Not necessarily.
You be sweating.
Thirst trapping.
Dude walks by. He's like, what's up, big fella? But yeah, I do agree with that because like I have a couple male friends that we actually had a talk in the group chat, and he was like, do you think I'm gay? I was like, I mean, I thought you were gay for the longest, but I know you're not gay. But he was just super effeminate. Like he just did like certain mannerisms, things like that. But that does play into what you were saying about society. Like what, like Uzi, right? Like Lil Uzi. They be saying Lil Uzi's gay because the way he be, Lil Uzi? Jody, you know who Lil Uzi is?
I'm not sure. What song does he sing or rap?
City Girls from JT? Or JT from City Girls? Mm-hmm. He dates her right now. Little short dude that got like the pink diamond in his forehead. You really don't know who Lil Uzi is?
He does that little arm thing.
Yeah, he be like
the glass eye.
Yeah. No.
That's Fetty Wild.
Right, I'm gonna look him up.
You really don't know who Lil Uzi is?
I've heard the name. I think of Little Durk. I'm seeing Little Durk in my head.
Lil Durk is like he be with Thug. Please look up Lil Uzi. You really don't know who Lil Uzi. Okay, but yeah, they be saying Lil Uzi is gay because like his, his, and I find it very like contradiction within society because they be saying, oh, like masculinity can be anything, but Lil Uzi recently got caught on Instagram Live like commanding JT to do certain things. And a lot of people, mostly women, have been like, how you gonna let a guy who act like this tell you what to do? And I'm like, that's a contradictory because y'all be telling us that masculinity can be anything. But at the same time, when there's a guy who's not the traditional masculine, you saying, how you gonna let him boss you around? Yeah. And it's like, which one is it? Yeah. Can masculinity be anything, or is traditional masculinity a thing?
I think that like most things, masculinity is a spectrum. I think that if you can be on the far end of masculinity and you just like I just do hard things and that's what I enjoy doing.
Like build houses, work on cars, eat steak every day. Yeah.
And then there's like closer to the feminine side where maybe there's more like metrosexual kind of tendencies or just more domesticated kind of things that men traditionally don't do.
Do you think
haven't done?
Do you think if men are pushed towards to be like more feminine, that could make them think about being gay?
I don't think so.
Like, okay, no, like, so what I'm asking is, right, because you know how a lot of people will be like, oh, like it's taught. People be like, oh, like being gay is taught. Like no one's really gay. Like you're taught to be gay. Not saying that I agree with that, but I'm saying like, you know, like that's always been said a lot by like hoteps and guys on Twitter and like in the black community. Yeah. They be like, oh, that little boy ain't gay. They just make him do the girl stuff. Like he need to hang around with some real men. He need to go to a strip club. He need to see a girl naked. Like that's what he need to do. We gonna fuck the gay out of him, and we gonna do that. You know, Jody, stop. But I don't necessarily agree with that. But that's always propagated a lot within the black community. I don't really think about like the white community or anything, or like the Mexican community. But I know in the black community, that's always like, get that boy a little, like get that little boy a girl, make him get with the girl, and he not gonna be gay no more.
So my thought there is, since we're talking about communities, we have to address that, because you're right. Every community is a little bit different. So the first thing I think I go back to, and I think of the black community, where it's that we don't really deal with issues. And let's just say hypothetically, a mom or a dad thinks that homosexuality is an issue with their child. Let's just say that's what they think it is. We don't necessarily know how to deal with those things. We don't know how to deal with depression in the black community. We don't know how to deal with any type of mental health in the black community. We also don't really know how to deal with sexuality in the black community. It's always like, get over it, go cry it out, go beat the person up. If they hit you, you hit them back. That's just how it goes. So I think that for people that are struggling with sexuality in the black community, they don't really get the support they need. Versus when you go to other communities, more well-off communities, these things are talked about a little more favorably, and it's a little more socially acceptable to have these type of conversations. I do think in the black community, for example, for someone that is coming out, it's totally different to go to, as a black male, to go to a black dad and say, hey, dad, I'm gay. I do think in other communities, more education, more knowledge, more resources, it is looked upon a little bit differently for someone to go to their dad and say, hey, I'm gay. The level of masculinity, the level of dominance, I think the black community plays a factor on how people feel about doing feminine things and masculinity things. And I think all of us have gone to a PWI college, and we all have black friends as well. And I think when I was just in the process of, beginning to pledge within a predominantly white fraternity, the stuff that they could do and it'd be okay, that black people will classify as, oh, bruh, nah, that's way too gay. It's no big deal. It's like, yo, he hit you on the butt. So what? Let's go play soccer. Yeah. Black people, it's like, nah, bro, that ain't cool. But now we ready to fight because you tried my sexuality. So I do think, cultural groups do play a big factor in it. But when it comes to black culture, I do think we do take that route of, put him in football, put him in basketball. Or like for my mom, she was like, well, he gonna be in church, he gonna be singing in a tenor. Like, Mom, my voice is soprano. Why am I singing tenor? But you gotta sing tenor because, we can't have you over there with the ladies. So I think it was very much so like we didn't really know how to resolve those issues or come to terms with them or accept them. So I think it pushes a lot of black people away, which makes it harder for black people to come out, black males, I'll say, to come out, which makes it harder for black males to feel socially accepted with being gay. And so I think a lot of those factors just trickle down from ignorance, from our parents, down to our generation.
Yeah, I think that's facts. I think because like you said, like black males specifically, I think it's easier for black women to be lesbians. And I could be wrong. I think it's easier for like them to come out as lesbian than like for a black guy to come out as gay. And that's why so many dudes be like on the DL. Like especially in Atlanta. Like I've seen guys, I don't want to name anyone, but I've seen guys have like whole wives. And like I'd be like, I know a guy right now who's engaged. And I'm like, dude, this is really messed up. Like you're wasting her life. Like, not saying you're doing something bad, but it's like, bro, you need to tell her. Like, you done told us, you done told, your other friends, but you still ain't told. I'm like, bro, you can't marry her. Like,
right.
You're wasting her life, bro. Like she needs to, y'all need to break up. It's going to be ugly. Sure. Like I get it, but you don't want to waste 20, 30 years of her life. Then you be like, oh yeah, I'm gay, by the way. And she gonna be like, what do you mean? Like she gonna go crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That happens very often.
Really?
Yeah. I think that people who can't accept the fact that they are gay go through and live that life, marry a woman and live the life that they feel like they're supposed to live. That their blackness and that whatever it is that it's holding them from being who they really are. I think that the damage from that it's really deep, and it causes you to to live that way.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of trauma, like even
A lot of trauma.
Like, okay, I know we're gonna focus like LGBTQ real quick, but like just to sidetrack, I think there's a lot of trauma in the Black community, like all together, like just from slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, police brutality, like all that stuff. Like, I think it's really messed us up, like on all spectrums of like just being Black, like whether you're gay, straight, you don't want to date anyone, you want to date everybody, like you want to get married, you don't want to get married. I just feel like we don't know how to, and to Jody's point, I feel like we don't know how to cope with trauma. Cause like you say, yeah, I'm going to a therapist. Niggas be like, what?
Right. Are you crazy?
You crazy for real? Yeah. What you need a therapist for? Ain't nothing wrong with you.
Right.
Bro, you better smoke a blunt and and you gonna be good. You straight. And we don't know how to do it. Cause like slavery is only like 200 years ago. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like for real. Like it was really like 200 years ago. Yeah. And then you had Jim Crow like 80 to 100 years ago. You had redlining like 50 years ago. You got the crack pandemic like 50 years ago, then HIV. We done been through it. No cap. We done been, Joey over here like, oh my God, we got some issues in the community. But has this affected y'all's relationship with y'all family?
So I will say this, that I'm not like fully out to my family.
I hope they don't hear this podcast.
Well, if they do, then
great way to come out, right?
Hey mom, hey dad, how y'all doing?
But it definitely has, because they do know.
They just want on you to say it.
They just, yeah.
So why haven't you said it? I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, that's fine. I feel safe, but I also don't feel safe coming out to my family. I'm super worried about the response still. Although like I'm fully independent now, take care of myself, I think that it still kind of makes me nervous to do it. I think it's coming. I mean, I'm on a podcast now, so. But I think that yeah.
I mean, yeah, because like I usually like give y'all the link and stuff, and 9 out of 10 times the person that I have on here like that promotes it. So if your family follows you like on Instagram or something, they're like, "Oh, you're on the I'm gonna listen." 20 minutes in, oh, okay.
Oh crap! Let me know if I shouldn't post this, Jarvis.
But so you think like when you say that you don't feel safe, do you think like are you saying like on a like your life is in danger, or do you mean like the relationship?
Is in danger, in emotional space. Okay. I think that the response will be, it won't be welcomed that I'm coming out. It'll be really negative in the beginning, which is normally how it happens when you come out. Mm-hmm. Parents that kind of go to the extreme in the beginning, and then it's kind of like they warm back up to you as time goes. You know, the relationship kind of mends back together. But yeah, and I've have friends who came out to their parents, Jody being one of them, who didn't have a positive experience when he came out. So,
what happened when you? I don't think you ever told me.
I don't think you ever asked.
I mean, it's not my business, but
no. So, mine was crazy for a couple different reasons. So I always had the mindset that when I come out, I want to make sure I have a partner to come out with. So you don't feel like you're necessarily doing it alone.
Yeah.
Well, mind you, I came out with the partner that I was with at the time when I was in undergrad. And that wasn't the best relationship to come out with, because shortly after I came out, other things came to light from that relationship, and then the relationship fell off. So it was that sense of kind of feeling alone. So I called my parents. I called my mom first, and I was like, "Hey, mom, you busy? Oh, okay. I just wanted to tell you something." And I was like, "Yeah, I just want to let you know that I'm dating guys now." I felt that saying I was a gay would be too strong for her.
Okay.
Very Christian household.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So it's
same
like,
thing, different message.
Yeah, it's like if I was pregnant and I didn't want my parents to know, I wouldn't say, "Oh, mom, I just got knocked up." I'd be like, "Hey, mom, I think I might be expecting."
Like I'm with child.
Yeah, like you try to frame it.
You try to soften it up.
Yeah.
Like they know what you mean, but it's like, okay, if I say it like this,
yeah,
it might be like 2% better. So let me just do it like that.
And so I always have this thing where I feel like I need to be in control. So I said, how do I make sure I'm in control of the conversation? So of course I told my mom, and I was like, I just want to let you know I'm gay, or I'm dating guys. Or I'm dating a guy, shall I say. And she says, what you mean? I'm like, okay, mom, so we're going to play this game. All right. I said, I mean that I am dating guys. And what I'm asking for from you is not for your confirmation. I'm just asking for your support. And so immediately when I said that, it kind of put her back on the defense. Like, oh, okay, I guess I should go in mom mode. Like I shouldn't go into like church woman mode. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you're not gonna make it into the blood gates of heaven, you know, all that stuff. So anyway, so I was telling her, and then after that, I called my dad and told him, and that's something that a little bit of weird. Like, I didn't talk to them as much anymore, and like stuff like resources that would normally come my way slowed down quite a bit. So it definitely became like, this isn't the reaction that I wanted. But I also felt like I am not doing myself any justice by not telling them.
Yeah, you're not being true to yourself.
Yeah, and so that's why I was really glad to tell them. And then so in college, of course, I had to like, I had to hustle to continue to live the lifestyle that I wanted to live when I was in college. And so
Jody used to always be like, "Bro, I'm so broke right now. I don't pay rent this month."
right, literally. So so that was how I came out. But it wasn't, I would say it wasn't desirable, but it wasn't horrible. But I think the biggest thing that I would say to anyone that is considering coming out to their parents, especially if they're coming from more of a Christian household, I would say is, one, make sure you're coming out for yourself and not for your parents. That's the first thing. And then two, I would say when you come out, be willing to go through the learning curve or the change curve with your family. Like, it's not going to be, okay, great, now let's go get drinks. It's going to be like a little bit of awkwardness. It's going to be a little bit of like, what do I do? And a lot of times I would say, at least after speaking to my mom years later, she was like, I didn't even know how to support you. Like, I wanted to be supported, but I don't really know how. What do I do? Do we go get our nails done together? Like, what do I do? I don't know. So it's like really trying to help her out and like try to get her to stop using certain language that's not, you know, community friendly and stuff like that. Like, she would sometimes slip up and use like words that aren't friendly to the gay community. Not because she didn't mean to, she just didn't know any better. Yeah. So that was it was a little bit of the change curve. But now 5-6 years later, life is normal.
So what about your dad?
Life is normal. Once my mom was on board, she's probably the harder one to adjust. Once I got her on board, my dad pretty much like fell suit for the most part.
So your dad just pretty much. You have any siblings?
I do have a sister.
She didn't care.
Nah, she knew, and she's like us. So she's like, oh yeah, I know you're gay back when you were like trying on my heels when I was like, you know, getting ready to go to prom. Like, you know, like I'm supposed to be telling her, yeah, I don't have sex with guys. I'm like, let me try them shoes on real quick. So
he's like, yes, girl. Oh my God, hold up. They looking at me.
Right. So yeah.
Okay. So do you have any siblings, Jarvis?
I do. Yeah.
How did that play out?
My sister. I have two siblings. My sister knows. My
like
brother,
she know, or like she just assumed.
It's unspoken, but like it's definitely understood.
She be saying little slick shit. She be like, "Okay, girl, go ahead and get it."
Right.
And you be like, "Yes."
Yeah. We have our moments through text. Yeah.
Okay. So she know now. Okay. And the other sibling?
Younger brother. Don't really know that he knows. I haven't told him, but it's. Yeah, he's in his own world, so I don't. Yeah,
okay. And so with your family or like with your parents, are you more worried about your mom or are you more worried about your dad?
Honestly, more my dad. Yeah, because I think like I said, I think my parents know. My dad, it feels like he ignores it.
You try to put it in the back burner.
It's kind of like, oh, we're gonna go out and see some girls, and I'm like, oh,
come on, bro.
Okay.
We can see some girls that have some boyfriends, and we can look at the boyfriends.
Yeah,
and that's another. And I also want to address another thing that you both brought up, like with the religious thing, right? I wish, like Christians altogether would stop using this logic of, oh, if you're gay, you're going to hell. First off, that's not true. From what I understand in the Bible is like the only way to go to hell is like if you really like denounce God and you're like, nope, not doing it. If He sent you the Holy Spirit, you know what I'm saying? From what I understand. Mm-hmm. In the Bible, it says all sins are equal. And I know to other religions, that might not make any sense. Mm-hmm. But like, you know, you stealing some candy from a store is technically, in the view of God, the same thing as like if you went on and chopped off someone's head, you know, like you murdered someone.
Right. Because
it's trying to put the emphasis on like, hey, like don't do bad stuff. Even the smallest bad thing can lead to something big. Because you can start like some small stuff, like, you know, some candy, you know what I'm saying, some chips here, a soda here. And now you're stealing like big things like iPhones, iPods. You can go to jail. You can get you in trouble, things like that. So like I've never agreed with the whole like gay people go to hell or like lesbians go to hell or whatever. Like to me, it just never made any sense. Because in my mind, I'm like, well, like 90% of people have sex anyway. Like, well, before marriage, let me say that. Mm-hmm. Like majority of people are like, so are we going to hell too? Like, Like I don't know. That was just. But then like y'all know me. Like I'm a very logical person,
Right,
so I was
right.
like I just never got that part of it. And I think that another thing that Christians could do that would actually, I think, like help gay people and the community is if like we were more accepting of it, or like maybe not accepting, but like probably more or less judgmental. Because I feel like at the end of the day, like you guys just don't want to be judged for whatever y'all do, like, you know, in y'all bedroom. The same way like people that have like weird kinks and stuff don't want to be judged in their bedroom.
Right.
And I feel like Jody, stop. You have not changed, my guy. But yeah, I feel like that would be a big thing too, because, you know, like no one wants to, because like we all sin and we all do bad things, but no one wants to feel like they can't be with their family or can't go to church because of one thing that they do. And because if I remember, you were kind of religious in college.
Yeah.
Like you would be praying and you'd be like, we should go to church and stuff. And I used to be like,
We're not praying that we should be going to church. I definitely went to church as a college student, you know, on my own. No one had to take me there. So yeah. Sure.
Do you feel like the church could be more friendly, less friendly? Like what do you think?
I do. I think that the church definitely has room to grow on that issue, especially considering how many people who are of the queer experience are in church, who sing and who just contribute to the church,
In
whole
general.
church environment. Yeah. I think that I also don't believe that being gay is a sin. I personally believe, just based on like seeing people who have done the research, that homosexuality was translated into the Bible as a sin when the original text spoke to what they call gay people now as child molesters.
Pedophilia.
So yeah.
Okay, pedophilia. Okay, I feel you. I haven't really heard of that. I don't know. Like I personally haven't heard of that. Because, you know, like there's a bunch of information out there about a bunch of different things. So I mean, I'll definitely look into that. If it turns out to be true, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'll correct what I'm saying and things like that. But that's a very interesting take that I've never. That's actually pretty interesting. I've never heard of that. But I did want to change pace of it, because now that we talked about your experiences, your families, you know, how you feel about the religion, everything like that, I do want to talk about things that are probably like a little bit more taboo that people don't want to talk about. Okay. Because like no one wants to talk about like the dangerous stuff, right? No one wants to talk about like, you know, like if you were touched as a kid, or if these people did this, or, you know, gay people out here like on the DL, like giving people STDs and things like that. And this is not to demonize anyone, because like straight people do it too. But I know in the community, especially in the black community, like, and even the straight males, you be like, okay, let's go get tested, and they be like, huh, like a math test, like what you talking, like what you talking about? Jody's like, oh my god, he did not just say that. But how taboo is testing in the black gay community?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Because
I feel like black men in general, gay or straight, whatever, I think that black men avoid doctors because they don't want to know what's wrong.
Yeah.
So just now speaking towards like gay black men, I think that they don't go to get tested on a large scale. I won't say that all gay black men don't, but it is you can kind of see on the apps, like everyone says that they're negative. Well, that's not true. It's 1 in 4 gay black men is positive, HIV positive. So
I did not know that.
yes. And I feel like that number is so high, that ratio is so high, is because people don't know their status. I think that's a very important thing, is to like be tested and to go get tested on a regular if you're active. Yeah, I mean, I think I'll lean into Jody if he has anything to add.
So I'll be honest with you, I don't have any stats to add, but I will say this. I do think that a lot of it has to do with two things. One, I think has to do with, we sometimes we can think that we're invincible, where it couldn't happen to us. And I'll just use even COVID as an example. You know, some people are still like, you know, we're doing things in the heat of the pandemic because it was kind of like, oh, it can happen to us, or I'll survive, or if it happens to me, I'll be all right. And it's kind of that sense of like, it can happen to me. So I think that's one component. Why people don't get tested as much as they should. The second component is, I think it's the fear component, the factor of like, hey, I don't want to know. Oh, I know I slipped up this last 6 months because maybe I wasn't feeling my best self or whatever the case was, and I slipped up and I had some unprotected sex, and I don't want to know, so I'm trying to hope that it didn't happen. And then over the weeks, it slips your mind, and then you go back and you have sex with other people, and then it just kind of goes from there. My thought behind this, and this is something that I just kind of preach, and I do my best to practice it, is this might be sensitive for a lot of people, so don't take this the wrong way, listeners. I don't know why we have to have so many sex partners. Why can't we just have one sex partner and allow that sex partner that we be committed to that sex partner, and then that decreases all the issues that we have, a lot of the issues that we have when it comes down to spreading diseases. I think now body counts are so high, and it's so socially acceptable to have such a high body count. It's almost kind of applauded nowadays. That it kind of sets this tonality that like, hey, like the more sex you have, the more versed, the more better you are, whatever the case is, and that just increases us spreading diseases. Not to go back to the Bible, but maybe there were less diseases back in the day because people were, maybe fucking less people, And so that's just one way to think about it. But that's just my take.
No, actually, I do agree with that because all the time you see like on Twitter and Instagram, and this is not even just like in the Black community, the gay community, or the lesbian community, but like this is in almost every community where it's like, oh, who cares about body counts? As long as they're clean, who cares? And I'm like, okay, how many people are actually having sex? Like every time you have sex, you're going to get tested, or every time before you have sex, you're going to get tested. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, the percentage is probably like less than 10%, like to be very realistically, because dudes are out here like, yeah, bro. And I don't want to call anyone out, but they be like, yeah, bro, I got some last night. And the first thing in my mind when like they be telling me, I be like, when are you gonna get tested? And like the conversation of like testing and like STD just never comes up, like ever. But guys and girls, they always talking about, oh yeah, I did this last night, I did this, blah blah blah, I was doing this, and the whole thing. I'm like, so me personally, I don't have sex, right? Like,
are you asexual?
No. I just because so 3 reasons why I don't have sex. One is because I don't want to disappoint God. Mm-hmm. Like I just feel like, I've sinned so much and done so much stuff that I'm just like, you know what? I don't want to like this is one thing that I can 100% control. Like, not being stupid, being rational. Like I can definitely do this. Like there's certain things like I don't drink anymore. Like I haven't drank in like 2 years. I've never smoked a day in my life. Like even back at Macon, I've never smoked. So it's just certain things that I'm like, okay, like because I know I'm gonna send other places. You know what I'm saying? Like I'd be lustful looking at,
saving it up.
Yeah, like I'd be doing other things. So I'd be trying to like in my mind, I'm like, okay, like if I can work and try to be like a better person,
yeah, then
just like little small steps, right?
For sure.
The second thing is I don't want to have a kid right now. Like, yes, I want a kid in the future. Like, I want like 2-3 kids in the future. Then, I'm, what I'm saying? You feel me? I'm doing that thing. And also STDs scare me like a lot. And some people be like, oh, if you get chlamydia, I'd be like, no, bro, I don't want anything ever in my life to be ever. It's like, nah, I'm not with it. I know y'all bugging. And then also like the community that we live in, like we live in Atlanta. I think it's like the number 2 city to have like STDs. It's either here or like Cali or like New York. I can't remember. But like we're definitely like in the top 5 for a fact. And I just feel like, us being in Kennesaw or Georgia State or just, in the metro Atlanta, like 285, pretty much all in general, it's just like, damn, y'all are having a lot of sex. And I never hear anything about getting tested. Y'all here having like double-digit body count numbers and things like that. And do you, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you? Yeah. I ain't gonna judge you. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna, do you? Have fun. You grown, but just know some of these things are like forever. Mm-hmm. Like you can't get rid of some of these stuff.
You brought up a good point. And I think something that you brought up that I'm really grateful for is that I think you have to surround yourself around like-minded people. And I think that's what helps keep you on the right track. So for example, let's say like, I'm like, hey, I don't want my body count to exceed 1 hand. Like my goal is to really like, have sex with people that I'm like, that I'm committed to. Well, if that's the case, I feel like what makes it a lot easier to do that, because I feel like sex is tempting for everyone, whether you're actively, whether you're not, that's just tempting for everyone. And so I think something that's really healthy is even in the midst of being in this crazy city with all these people in Atlanta and all these different mindsets and perspectives, really surrounding yourself around a circle of like-minded people. So if you surround yourself around people that have meaningful sex, and when I say meaningful sex, I mean usually they're having sex with their partner, or if they are hooking up, they're very, very protected, and it's it's far in between. I think it helps you to follow in those footsteps. But I do think it is really hard to say like, hey, I'm not going to be sexually active, or better yet, I'm not going to drink, but I'm going to the bar every night. Like, you can't have both. The temptation's too real. So I think being able to really surround yourself around like-minded people helps you. A great example is like me and Jarvis are really close, and like to be able to call a friend and say, hey, I know maybe we should get tested this weekend. I think being able to do that with your friends is really, really important, because it kind of holds you all accountable versus, having friends that are all out there doing things they don't find the value in testing, and you want to be a part of that group and you want to fit in, and it makes it a little bit more challenging. So I think if you do have like a high body count, or if you're really trying to like, take the right steps of keeping yourself safe, a lot of it is surrounding yourself around like-minded people that find value in PrEP, find value in all the different things that are on the market to keep you safe if you are sexually active, and that also can hold you accountable to say like, oh, you've been a little wild lately. Have you been protected? Or do you need money for a plan B? Like, really being able to, well, we don't need those, but you know what I'm saying. If it was a female, do we need a plan B? God. So I think that's really important.
I agree with you 100% on that, because like when I told my friends, 2+ years ago, I was like, yo, like I don't want to. And the reason why I stopped drinking is because like I have like the heart problems. So I like with my insurance, like the way it works is like, the healthier you are, the higher up like on like a surgery list or like a transplant list like you can be. So like, being younger, being fit, not drinking, not smoking, it just puts you at like a higher chance as someone who's like 75 that smokes and drinks. And they'll be like, are we really going to give a brand new heart to this dude? Yeah. Versus the guy that's below 30, he works out 5 days a week, he don't drink, he drink nothing but water, and he don't smoke. Like things like that, right? So to your point, like my friends, they don't be like, Devin, let's go get drinks. Or you be like, Devin, like just take one shot, bro. Like just like it's not even gonna count, dog. Or like, and my girlfriend, she's really good about it. Like, so we just went out to brunch with her friend. Like my friend and her friend date each other. It's really weird. I'm kind of scared because I don't want no one to break up, because then go, okay, whatever. But they date each other, and we went out to brunch. And so the first thing my girl did was like, hey, like when you bring his mimosas, don't put no champagne in it. Like he just wants straight up orange juice. And like she did it before I did it. And then, yeah. And I was like, okay, like that's really cool to have. And like, so I do agree with you, like, like with you and Jarvis saying like, yo, like, even though like we might not be doing anything, like let's just go to text, like just because, like we're just gonna keep it up, blah, blah, blah. But I also agree with your point. Like if you're not doing shit, like don't like getting text is probably a waste of time, because you ain't trying to spend no money, you're trying to like waste 2 hours of your day out the time. But if you are active, you should definitely get tested. Yes. Yeah. And with the whole PrEP thing and things like that, like, wear a condom, do the smart. Why are people so against condoms? I never got that.
Okay, I have to say this. So there's these condoms called Bare Skin. Have y'all heard of them?
Yeah.
Okay, they don't feel like anything's on it. Like literally, I don't understand people against condoms. Once I got exposed to those, I was like, wow, you can literally have raw sex. Oh, they can't see me. Quotations. Raw sex, and it protected, and it feel as real as if you didn't have a condom on. So I totally agree with you on that one. I don't know why people are against condoms when you can actually get some quality ones that make you feel like you don't have some on.
And it's not even that. I mean, yes, it is that. Like, you do want to feel good. But it's just like, you bring up condoms and dudes be like, bro, what? Like, and I'd be like, yeah, you telling me? I'd be like, what do you mean what? Like, don't you, I don't know. Like, it's just my logic of going by it. Because I'm like, okay, I mean, sure, there's a chance that you might not get anything, but every time you get in a car, you put on a seatbelt, don't you? Mm-hmm. Like, you've been in the car thousands of times and never got in a car accident, ever. But the one time you do, you're like, damn, I wish I had my seatbelt on. And that's what I'm saying, like, and condoms, like, are pretty effective for the most part. Like, it's like...
And mask, just saying.
And what?
Mask.
Oh, with COVID and things like that. Ha, ha, ha. Trying to be funny. But yeah, like condoms are super effective. I think it's like 99% effective or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, and what Jarvis was saying, like with the 1 in 4 black men that have HIV, I think that stems from culture, and then like the whole high body count things that Jody was saying, like not wearing condoms and not wanting to do PrEP and not be educated. Because if I understand, like I think like Asian gay men have like the lowest rate of STDs or something like that, or like the lowest rate of HIV.
I have no idea about that.
Yeah, I do like random research on stuff like all the time. Stop.
But I think think you said something that was very important, Devin, about education. People, I think that's a huge part of why STDs and HIV rates are so high in the community, because people don't know what they're getting into, and they get into the sex.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Keep going. No, you got it.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, because like, so I was doing research on STDs and like how they're transferred and like why certain groups get it more than certain groups and why certain groups don't get it certain more. And actually, a funny thing is, straight black men, the rate for STDs for them is like actually not that high. The reason why is because the way HIV is transmitted. So HIV, the easiest way to get it is through anal sex, right? Like that's like the easiest way. The hardest way to get it for a black male is through vaginal sex because of like the blood and like, you know, the transfers of like all the DNA and things like that. And that's why so many black women get it, because they be with download, like how we talking about, you know, 20, 30 minutes earlier,
Right.
is with the download men. Like they be with men, you know, like the guy knows like he's gay or bi, whatever, hasn't told her, he been sleeping out. And, you know, in the culture, we don't use condoms, or we don't, you know, we don't want to talk about it, blah, blah, blah. And that's why they get it so often. It's because of that reason right there. But yeah, you can go to your point. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, it's okay. I was just going to just mention about the education. I think that people don't understand the whole thing around STDs, especially HIV. People who know that they have HIV are not the ones who are transmitting HIV, who are transferring it to people, who are giving it to people. It's the people who don't know that they're positive who are spreading it. And that is because if you know that you have HIV, you're most likely taking medications. And when you're on HIV medication, that means that you become undetectable. And what that means is that the count of the virus in your body is so low that it won't even be found on a drug test, which means that sex with anyone else means that you won't transfer it to anyone else. So I think that that's really important to say. I think it needs to be said a whole lot more than what is being said. Needs to be talked about a whole lot more than what is being talked about, so that people can just understand what they're getting into when they have sex with other people.
Yeah, that's facts. And even some more in the straight community too. I wish like black dudes, like, you know, my demographic, I wish like they would just be more mindful of it, because, and you know, it's different. Like if you're like, you know, like a girlfriend or wife or whatever, like, okay, obviously like, you know, do you, but like the guys that are single out here, like every weekend, like 1 or 2 chicks, I just be like, bro, like how good do you think your odds are? Like, sure, you could, you know, like you could have those good, you know, you could be that one lucky guy, like who your whole life just raw dogging it and you'll never get it.
Right.
But you're not the exception to the rule. Like you're the rule.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And, you know, you give it to like 10 other girls and they come up and that's illegal too. Like people don't know, like that's like a federal crime. You can go to prison for that.
Something too else that I think has been really valuable as I think the culture around HIV is slowly shifting, but I think it's a long way for it to go. So now I see a lot more commercials. I do feel like it does seem to target the gay black community, to be honest, even though, like, for example, PrEP is available for anyone. It's not just for gay people. But nevertheless, I think there's a culture that's starting to be built around specifically HIV. And I look on, like, I can't remember exactly what the dating app was, but it's on one of the dating apps. It actually allows you to put your status. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't do dating apps.
That's probably Grindr.
Is it Grindr? Okay. And it was one of them that allows you to put your status. And even though when I first saw it, I was like, okay, that's stupid, because if you have that status, you don't need to be on here. And which is a very ignorant thing to say, because in my mind, I'm like, no, that's how it should be. It should be something that's more social. Like, hey, if this is something that you contracted in your previous life or in the years before, you're no lesser than anyone else, but you just have that information up front so you can share that, so you can have still a great sex life, but just being safe for you and the other person. So I really, after I like thought about that, I was like, that's really impactful. And I wish the community, all communities, were a little bit more comfortable with creating more of a like more acceptable culture of it. Once you get it, okay, you got it. Now what? And I think that's the part that I really liked about that particular component. It's like, yep, I have it. I still want to meet you. I still want to connect with you. I still want to date. I still want to live my normal life. But I want to do it in a way that makes both of us safe, and I want to be transparent and upfront. So I think giving people spaces to do that, I think is really helpful when it comes down to dating, for sure. So that's something that I think is helpful when it comes to making people more socially aware of their status and the status of other people that they may be talking to.
Does it scare you, like, that if you're with someone that you could, like, no, I'm there for real. Like, does it scare you that if you're with someone that you could possibly get it?
I would say I don't think I would not be with someone because they had it. Would it be? And I think for me, the scary part would be I don't know enough about it. So I'm aware about it from like someone that doesn't have it. But I'm sure someone that does have the virus, HIV, I'm sure they know a lot more about it. So I would need to be more educated before I can say like, oh my God, this is a deal breaker for me. But I will have initial concerns because I would need to get more educated on it before I can say like, hey, yeah, I'm willing to, have sex with you. I need to make sure that I'm protecting myself and to make sure that the other person's protected as well.
What about you, Jar?
I would say about the same. Like I have actually met a couple people who are positive. And it just took me meeting those people to like, okay, I need to learn more about this because it's here, and it doesn't change like the person that you're talking to or meeting or getting to know. I think that, and especially knowing what I know about it, is kind of like, okay, I'm comfortable, very comfortable at this point.
Okay, yeah, because I have a gay friend that I met at Kennesaw, and like one of the reasons why like he doesn't really have sex because he's like, I don't want to get shit like ever. He's like I think he's only been with like 1 or 2 people or something like that, and he was like, nope, he's like, and even then he was like, yeah, I'm bugging. He was like, I don't know what I'm doing. So he's like, he hasn't done anything like in years because he's like, I don't want to get it and be like, you know how like we say like I don't want to be like a statistic. Because, black folks, we be saying that all the time. But he was like, yeah, I don't want to be a statistic. Yeah, I don't know where that comes from. But he was like, yeah, I don't want to do that. And I was like, I mean, I feel you. Like, because, same thing for me. Like, I don't want to be, the black guy that people like, oh, like, look at him. Like, he's probably like a terrible person. Like, black guy with muscles and all the crazy hair. Like, you know what I mean?
No, I feel you. I think it's really just all about, I think for me, it's all about knowing yourself. So I can say I've been in 3 relationships, and for all 3 of my relationships that I've been in, we were tested before, and we both got tested before, and I was always tested after the relationship. Mm-hmm. So I think those type of practices are just really healthy. But I feel like we all have to have our own standards and be confident in communicating those. I think a lot of times in all communities, we're quick to kind of like say what the person kind of wants to hear, what we think is the right thing to say, what we think is socially acceptable, so we're not the outcast. Like, for example, I think with you, Devin, like, to go on a date, if you were dating someone and be like, oh, I don't drink alcohol, that could be a little intimidating for some guys to say up front when the girl's sitting here ordering 3 drinks. Yeah. You're like, oh, okay, maybe I just act like I do for the night because I still really like her, And so I think that happens a lot. I think it's just we have to be really comfortable and confident in being able to say, like, hey, like, actually, I don't drink liquor, but I'll definitely get a mimosa without champagne. Or, hey, I'm not sexually active, but if we do have sex, I definitely want us to get tested first. Is that something you're comfortable with? Yeah. If they're like, yeah, I'm good with that, let's do it. Or they're like, hell no, then, you have your playing field.
You kind of see where the vibe is going because I think that if you're, taking your health seriously and like your sexuality seriously, and you're saying, hey, like as a person, like I like you, I think you're attractive, and like in, like in a month or whatever, like if we get to that level, like let's take precaution A. And if they're like, no, I'm good, you'd be like, okay, maybe you're not the person I thought you were, so I should probably just get out of my life and let me go find the right person. Stop. You keep throwing shade. Why are you throwing shade, Jody?
I'm not throwing shade. You're just speaking the truth. That's all.
You think about it, you like, that was that one dude I met on Tinder. He was doing that. He was a little sketchy.
Oh, I hope you hear this.
But yeah, I do agree with you on that. But I wanted to ask a question. Would you guys date a trans man? No, because like I understand, and I actually have a trans person coming on here in a few weeks after this one drops, and me and him, we've been talking back and forth, and he seems like really cool. Like he's not he's not being slick or nothing, like in the DMs, like when we're talking. Like he was like, yeah, I'd love to, education and blah, blah. And he actually booked me for a photo shoot. So I was like, oh, like he seems real cool. So I was like, bet, like, let's do it. And, we locked in or whatever, things like that. But I just wanted to know, and I could be wrong about this, and if I am wrong, someone let me know, or you guys let me know. But I do know like a lot of lesbians don't date trans women because they be like, oh, like you still have like the masculine tendencies from when you were a man. And I was just wondering, like, would you guys date like a trans man?
I think it's a huge thing about preferences, and the dynamics of like a trans relationship as it comes to sex. Mm-hmm. And my personal sex life and my personal sex preferences, I don't think that they will align with
that.
You are right with dating a trans man. So I would probably not. But I'm a very open person, so I think that I probably could.
Yeah. Like you're saying, like what you're saying is like, is it a possibility? Maybe.
Yeah.
But I would rather date
But
like
it's not like
another.
that I'm seeking trans men.
Yeah, like you're not on like Tinder or what's the one you said? You said Grinder. I don't do dating apps, bro. Like I've never had one. Like I've just never. Not saying like they're bad or anything, but I just don't. I don't know what they do. Like you swipe right and like I don't know what happens. Like y'all like set a date or something. Like
it depends. It depends on who's using the app. To be honest.
I mean, yeah, I just don't do dating apps. I mean, I think they're smart and cool and like if you're not that social, it could work. But yeah, but that makes sense.
That's not true. I'm social and I'm on a dating app.
But you're kind of introverted sometimes.
Well, yeah, we're doing a pandemic. But like outside
of even at Macon, there are times where like me, you, and Talia want to go out, and you're like, I just want to stay in and watch a movie.
Macon's a little I don't know. People from Macon might be listening, so yeah, you're right.
Just leave it there. Just leave it there.
I mean, you're a social person, but I'm saying I could see how you were on like a dating app because also it's probably easier for you specifically because you can type in like what you want as a person. You could be like, okay, bet I want them like 24 to like 27. I want them to have a college degree. I want them, like in this area. Like I feel like that because you're very specific. Because I remember, back in college, certain guys would hit on you and you were like, no, like that's not. Like I'm sure you're a good person, but like that's not my type. So I could see how you could be on a dating app because like you're very specific in what you want to date.
Yeah, I also think too. I guess I know this is a squirrel in conversation, but I also think too when it comes down to dating apps, I think for me, and Jarvis might be a little bit different too, but I think for me, it's more of, I'm busy. I really am. And so it's a lot faster to go through 20 guys and know you only like one of them than to have to go on dates with 20 people to figure out that you only like one of them. Like I can go through all 20 of them in about 30 seconds.
Okay.
Way more efficient. So that's why I enjoy the dating apps, but then also the parameters are helpful as well. And then I also think too, everyone's motive out there is so different. And you can weed through people's motives so quickly on a dating app. Like, for example, you can tell, I'm going to stereotype a little bit here, based on the pictures that some people post. Like, if you see someone on a dating app and all they have are, pictures that are just very sexually driven, well, maybe they're probably looking for sex versus someone that actually is like holding a Bible in their hand. Maybe they're looking for something a little bit different. That's not always right, but it helps you
a general
weed through. Yeah, it helps you kind of weed through the large population a little bit faster.
Like if you go on someone's page and they're constantly posting like brunch spots, you're probably like, okay, this person likes to eat. I don't like to eat.
Absolutely.
We're probably going to argue about that a lot. Let's not do it.
Absolutely.
Okay, that kind of makes sense. So that's why I can see you on a dating app because you're very specific about what you want.
Okay.
You feel me?
I guess you're right.
And Jarvis is kind of like introverted. Like he doesn't. I mean, he didn't hang.
I'm introverted. Yes.
I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Like because different. Like you're introverted. He's very extroverted, and I'm very extroverted. So it's like you can. It's not a good or bad thing. It's just like who you are as a person. But yeah, what about you, Jody? Would you date a trans man?
I would say, based off of what I know about the trans community, I don't believe I would be interested. But I don't know enough to say that it's like a hell no for me. Like I can tell you right now, dating a female is a hell no because I'm not interested in females. But I can't say that with the trans community because I don't know enough about it. I've only met one trans person my entire life, knowingly, and so. He was an awesome guy. He was fun. We had a great time, but I don't know much about the community to know like what does that look like? What does day-to-day look like? What does like emotions look like? What does compatibility look like? I don't really know those things, so I couldn't really say. So I'll have to do a little bit more like digging before I can say yes or no to that.
I feel you. I was just kind of curious because like I've seen a lot of lesbians say that on the like reverse end, like the vice versa end.
Would you date a trans woman?
I don't think so. Like nothing against them personally. I just don't think I could do it because one, I don't know, y'all know me, like I'm not really good with emotions. Like I don't like you crying and stuff and like you having like a bad day and like you like talking about society. I'm like
everyone has that though, right?
Yeah, everyone has that. No, everyone has that, but I'm saying like certain communities, it affects certain communities more than others. Right? Like I tend to do better dating wise, just in general, like altogether. I tend to do better with like foreign girls than like girls born here in America. No, seriously. Like or girls from like the hood because they tend to be like a little bit tougher and a little bit less emotional.
Okay.
Because like I can't date someone who every day is like, I I need to know that you like me, or I need to know that you're gonna be there. And I'm just like, I can't, like, I'm gonna be there for you, but it's like I don't need to talk about it every single day or like every couple of days, because like goddamn, like, we've been over this so many times.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
I can't necessarily identify with wanting to date foreign or like hood people, but I get what you mean when you say I don't want to have to explain that I like you every single day.
Yes.
Because I have definitely dealt with that from people who need me emotionally in that way. I can't provide that.
Yeah, and it's like, bro, it's like, bro, come on, like, because everyone's love language is different, right?
Yeah.
Like I show like my caring and my love through like gifts and like money and like doing stuff.
Oh.
Stop, Jody. I mean, there's definitely been times like where we were out, like I would drive, you know what I'm saying? I'll make sure that we're straight. I would leave a tip at Waffle House or whatever. Like, things like that, right? Like, I'm not a very, I love you, bruh. Like, I don't do that. But everyone's love language is different. And I feel like, certain, and not saying that this is an ironclad rule, but certain communities are more emotional than others. Like Jody's a very emotional person. Like, he probably deny it, but Jody's a very emotional person. So it's like, we get along because we're friends, but Jody also knows not to ask me every single day, like, Devin, are we friends? Like, he can bounce off of my energy. And I feel like in certain communities, that energy probably wouldn't be accepted as much, because you'll probably be like, oh, you're just a transphobic, homophobic douche. And it's like, no, like, I'm like this towards everybody. Like, I'm like this towards, my best friend. I'm like this towards, like my cousins and stuff. Like, I don't do the whole text you every day, I love you, like XOXO, kissy face. Like, I just can't do it. So personally, I don't think I could because of that said reason.
So, but it wouldn't be because you don't see them as a woman. It's just because
no, I respect you. Like, so I'm very much on the lines of any adult can do whatever they want. Like, if Jody wants to, like, Jody's name's not even Jody. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jody's, I don't want to say your real name on here, but like, Jody's name's not even Jody. You feel me?
Yeah.
And like, if you wanted to go by a different name, like, let's say you want to change your name to, like, I don't know, Mahogany or whatever. Like, I would be like, okay, like, I mean, because for me, it's not a hill to die on.
Yeah.
Now, if you was talking about, I just want to go around slapping people, I'd be like, okay, I don't know how that's a thing. I'm not with that.
Yeah.
Right. But if you want to identify as a man or a woman or whatever, or if you want to change your name, or if you want to, do whatever, I don't really care. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really affect me personally. So it's not really much more that, but it's much more like definitely like the emotional connection side. Like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Like, I just know for a fact, like, even dating a girl, like, she's crying every day. I'm like, yeah, like 2 weeks in, I'm like, this is not going to work out.
So I guess my thought there, and this has triggered something, because I totally agree with what you're saying, but I guess like this has triggered something about like, so in the gay community, are you familiar with the term like top and bottom and verse?
Yeah, top, bottom, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So a lot of times it's this thing where I don't know if this is like a coined term, but it's like bottom shaming, where it's like, oh, bottoms are dramatic, bottoms are feminine, bottoms are this, bottoms are that. And I kind of feel like it sucks when people like group people in that manner. Mm-hmm. And I kind of feel the same when we say things like, I prefer like international people. I prefer people that's not from this particular community because of their love language. Because I think the love language is equally spread across all communities. So like, if your love language is words of affirmation, you can be a gay bottom, you can be a gay top, you can be straight, you can be transgender. That's just your love language. I think if your love language is giving money or giving gifts, I think that could be somebody in Brazil, somebody in the US, somebody in China. So I do think that love languages I don't think that has to pertain directly to a demographic. I think that's just how we like to receive and give love. That's just my thought there. So
I get what you're saying, and I agree to an extent. Then let me add context. The girls that I've met tend to be more, like, I guess, like born here or whatever, tend to be more emotional than the girls that I've met that's been like from a different country, or like a first generation born here who grew up with a different culture, because they seem to be like, and I guess like the way that they were raised with the culture, because like, maybe more strict or more tougher, they tend, or even like hood girls, right? Like, you grow up with a hood dad from the projects. Of course, you naturally might be a little bit more tougher than a girl with a dad who grew up in the suburbs. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, because I grew up with a dad from the hood, and he was like super strict, like super tough, like, very like get after it, right? So it's made me like a little bit less emotional. So I'm not saying that I'm never gonna show emotion.
for sure.
Cause like, you know, Valentine's Day, you know, I went all out. You feel me? Anniversary, I go all out. Like Christmas gifts and all that, like her birthday, you know, like that's a given. Like you can't be like an unemotional person on those special days.
Yeah.
But like on a random Wednesday, you talking about like, no, bro, like I'm sorry, like
So maybe it's not necessarily the emotions, but just the way they express themselves.
yeah, like because if you wanna, cause like I buy my girl gifts like diamonds and sneakers and all that stuff like that, right? and like she gets me stuff that is in my love language. Like I like, you know, I like physical touch. So like she massages me. You feel me? And I like quality time. And so like we'll watch like 2 movies together. Not everyone can do that. Cause sometimes I like, you know, like a good movie, a little comedy movie or a little action movie. Some people be like, no, I'm tired of watching these movies. Like, no, like I want to do something else. I don't want to do that. That's what I want to do. Yeah. But we do 50-50. Like we know, like every other day we'll do what she wants to do. And every other day we'll do what I want to do. And not everyone in their love language is going to be able to do that. So that's why I stick to a certain, well, let me say, maybe not like international or whatever, but a certain like emotional group. Because I'm not going to do the whole emotional.
Yeah.
Way.
So you basically, I get what you're saying. So basically you're saying when you're dating or if you were seeking to date someone else, you look for, you have an emotional preference in your partner.
For a fact. Yeah. Like the emotional preference will supersede the physical preference.
Okay, I got you, yeah.
Because like physical is, you know, like you're not going to like this forever. Like we're all going to be 80 one day. Like, no, like we're all, stop Jody. Jody's like, I'm going to live forever. I'm going to be young forever. I'm going to never, ever get kid. Yeah. But yeah, so definitely the emotional preference will supersede the physical preference any day of the week. Yeah. For me specifically.
And you've just seen it occur in a certain type of people more
And I could be completely wrong because I've only, you know, like this is only Atlanta. So like you only know like a few thousand people compared to like California, Nevada, New York, Washington, like all these other places. Because I could be completely wrong. You know, maybe I'm just lucky or unlucky in my context of meeting these people. You feel me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So was there anything else you guys want to talk about? Because I think we had a great conversation.
I do too. I do want to add something. Mm-hmm. So moving back from Arizona, where the population, or Phoenix, Arizona, where the population is majority white, or all white. I think the culture, I didn't realize how different the LGBT, specifically the gay culture is on the West Coast as it is here in the South. It's literally
what you mean?
Night and day. Like, it's almost like a culture shock. How we date in the South, what's expected, the conversation, how people move, like, it's definitely different. Like, I was even sharing with my friend Jarvis. I was like, Jarvis, you have to navigate differently here in the dating world. I feel like you have to have your guard up out here in Atlanta. Like, you just can't go in here all happy-go-lucky. Because it's like a Shark Tank. Like, I kid you not. And, like, I think what I realized, like, you know, I don't think it's a good or bad thing. I think it's just different cultures. And I'm sure if we were to go to, like, New York, I'm sure the gay culture will probably be a little bit different there as well. But I just wanted to comment on the fact that the West Coast, specifically Phoenix, Arizona, and San Diego, I would say that area there, the gay culture is so much more open. The gay people are a lot more friendly towards one another. Mm-hmm. People are a lot more open-minded. So, like, no one cares. Like, for example, now, like, just on the dating apps I've been on recently, I mean, after about 3 or 4 messages, the next question is, are you a top or a bottom? That's before we can continue this conversation.
Oh, my God.
In Arizona, you've been on a dating app, and, like, they don't even ask you that. It's like, oh, we're in the bed now. What you prefer? Oh, okay, cool. I'm down with that. It's just so much more natural and more organic. Out here, it's so much more, like, scripted and, like, dog-eat-dog world, I feel like. Jarvis might have more insight on that as well, because he's been dating in Atlanta longer than I have. But it's definitely
that. I think image is a big thing here. It's what you have, what you can bring to the table, what you offer, what you look like. A lot of the dating apps, people literally just get on there and say, no fats, no femmes, this, that. Like,
Jesus Christ.
There's, you know, so... It's very like big on image here. I don't know like any other regions because I've only lived here. Yeah. But it's. I just think because like, well, I don't know. I can't speak on Miami or whatever, but I just think like in Atlanta specifically, like you gotta flex. Like you can't. Like me personally, like I like dressing like I'm very comfortable. Like I like dressing very relaxed. But 99% of the people, you gotta step. Like when you come out, you step in. Like you gotta. Like Prada shoes, you wearing a Gucci belt, you got the Dior cologne on, you pull up in a Mustang, like you gotta step when you step. And when you go home, there's no furniture in the room.
Right. But it's so fun and it's so easy to get wrapped up in that because I even told Jarvis, I was like, Jarvis, I need to, you know, I got my stimmy You know, so once I got my stimmy, I was like, Jarvis,
Stimmy me.
I need a new wardrobe because these gay guys are really tough to keep up with.
Stimmy me.
So yeah, but they don't have furniture, like Jarvis said.
They don't.
Yeah.
And 6 of them in one apartment. Anyway.
Yeah, 6 in one apartment, no furniture. But it's okay because everyone's life is a little different and everyone spends their money how they choose to. That's my HR side coming out. But I do think it's a little toxic.
No, that's facts though, because like, and I be trying to tell people. So recently, like, I'm not even gonna say it, but okay, I'm gonna say it. So recently I just bought a new car, right? But like, people aren't gonna see the fact that I was frugal for a year, like extremely, like going out, burger, French fries. I'm not getting like, you know, the biggest steak in the world, or not getting like the salmon with the, you know, lemon zest and all that stuff. I was very frugal. I saved up. I, you know, was budgeting my money for like a year straight, from like literally July last year to like March this year. You know what I'm saying? Technically doing 2 jobs, the consulting at ADP, and then also, you know, my photographer side hustle. And it's like, you know, had to raise my prices, had to raise my quality, had to start doing videos, you know, like putting in work. They're not going to see the fact that, you know, sleepless nights up to 2 a.m. in the morning, editing stuff, waking up to clock in at 7 o'clock at my other job, you know, working 7 days a week. But they're going to see the car and be like, oh, he balling. It's like, bro, you didn't see me save the money, do all the hard work. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You didn't see me have to tell my friends, I can't go out, bro. I can't do this. Or if I do go out, I'm just going to get like a water and French fry. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that does play. I just think that's like probably Atlanta.
Yeah. Oh, that's totally Atlanta.
Yeah. That's like, you got to have the jury. You got to have the music. You got to have the clothes. Mm-hmm. You got to work out. You know what I'm saying? Your body not probably real. Like, you probably had some surgery. Like, no.
But as long as you got it, that's all they care
as long
about.
as you know, as long as you got it, you.
Yeah. It's a struggle. It's a struggle.
Jody been trying to gain weight for 10 years.
Yeah, literally. I just joined it. Okay, that's another topic. Yes, you're absolutely right.
I just joined the gym to gain weight.
I really did, actually.
Jody, you look exactly the same. Like,
oh god, that's such an insult. No, I appreciate that. I did get to 140.
Okay, look at you, thick.
Thick. I appreciate that. I made me blush a little bit. I appreciate that.
But yeah, I do think, I hope like when people listen to this podcast that the conversations will continue, and you know, maybe if they have, you know, someone gay or lesbian in their life, that they could learn from this. You know, like you said, like naturally, even if you accept it as good news, it's gonna be baby steps going forward. Mm-hmm. Like you can be like, okay, bet, like, you know, like you're, like you said, like with your mom, right? She was like, I don't know what to do. Like, you make your nails done? Like, do we go wear dresses together? Like, I don't know what to do. I feel you. I feel that. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know how to react to anything, you know? Like, even when someone gets pregnant, it's like, okay, like where do we go from here? Like, you're pregnant. Do I buy the baby kits now? Or like, do I get them later? Like, what do we do? Do I constantly bring it up? Do I not bring it up? So yeah, I hope people can take away from this that, you know, things get better. And I hope like when you come out officially to your parents, like it's not bad. Yeah. You know, it might be awkward, but like I hope it's probably not bad. Yeah. Your sister probably gonna be like, oh, fucking finally. Jesus Christ. The tension in this house has been insane. Is there any last remarks that you want to add, Jarvis?
No, not really. Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, I was actually looking really hard. Cause I asked Jody, and then I asked a couple other gay people that I know and things like that. I'm like, if you're comfortable or whatever. And then he was like, yeah. He was like, can I bring Jarvis? And I was like, yes. You know, it was good to catch up, to talk to you guys again, and to, you know, hit like a different audience and different target, because, you know, like we want to grow like in our business and everything like that. Yeah. Cause, you know, like I want to expand more outside from Kennesaw and go deeper into Atlanta, and then hopefully from like Georgia to like, you know, Florida to Texas to Arizona to New York to Cali, you know, hopefully, and then eventually we'll be like nationwide, things like that. And then once we're nationwide, you guys are definitely coming back on. Cool. Because Jody's gonna be like, hey Devin, how you doing?
I do not sound like that.
I do not sound like that.
I'm dead.
But yeah, I'm so glad that you guys came on. Be lookout on part 2 of this. I'm gonna have another special guest on in a few weeks. And this is Man Versus, and we're out.